The strange ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a quiet Tuesday morning in 2157. It moved silently, its silver hull reflecting sunlight as it positioned itself above North America. Global defense systems went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled. Missile systems locked on. The world held its breath. But the alien vessel made no aggressive moves. Instead, it sent a simple message in perfect English. "We come in peace. We need your help." At the United Earth Space Command headquarters in Geneva, Rear Admiral Alan Carter paced the floor of the command center. Screens around him showed the alien ship from different angles. His weathered face, marked by 30 years of military service, remained calm despite the tension in the room. "Any updates on those scans?" he asked. Dr. Olivia Reyes, his chief advisor on alien biology, looked up from her tablet. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and fatigue shadows hung under her eyes after 18 hours of non-stop work. "The ship's made of materials we've never seen before," she said. "Their technology is at least a century ahead of ours. But the most interesting part? The atmosphere inside their vessel would be toxic to us. High levels of methane and very little oxygen." Carter nodded. "They're not like us." "Not at all," Reyes agreed, which makes their perfect English even more impressive. The message from the alien ship repeated every 30 minutes for 6 hours. Finally, after meetings with leaders from around the world, Earth sent back a response. "We will listen. Land at these coordinates." The landing site was a flat desert area in Nevada, far from any major cities. Military vehicles formed a wide circle around the landing zone. Soldiers in full combat gear stood ready, their weapons trained on the spot where the alien craft would touch down. Admiral Carter and Dr. Reyes watched from a reinforced bunker a mile away, joined by General Susan Miller, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's unified military. "I still think this is a mistake," Miller said, her voice tight. "We should have demanded more information before allowing them to land." "Diplomatic relations have to start somewhere," Carter replied. "Better to meet them face to face." The alien ship descended slowly, stirring up clouds of dust. It was smaller than expected, about the size of a commercial airplane. As it settled on the desert floor, a hush fell over the gathered forces. For 5 tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, a door opened in the side of the ship. A ramp extended to the ground. 3 figures emerged. They were tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered between blue and green depending on how the light hit it. Their heads were large and oddly shaped, with no visible ears and 3 large black eyes arranged in a triangle. They wore simple white clothes that seemed to flow around their bodies like water. The lead alien stepped forward and raised all 4 hands, palms out, in what was clearly meant as a peaceful gesture. "Thank you for meeting with us," it said, its voice coming through translators worn by the human delegation. "I am Zeltor, ambassador of the Araxian Collective. These are my advisors, Meknar and Vusan." Carter stepped forward. "I'm Rear Admiral Alan Carter of the United Earth Space Command. This is Dr. Olivia Reyes and General Susan Miller." "Your world is beautiful," said Zeltor, "and very dangerous. We have been watching Earth for some time. In our classification system, your planet would be considered a death world." Dr. Reyes couldn't help but laugh. "A death world? Earth?" Zeltor's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "Yes. The gravity is crushing. The oxygen levels are toxic to most species. Your weather systems are violent. Your planet harbors millions of deadly microorganisms, and yet you not only survive here, you thrive." Carter's expression remained neutral. "I suppose it's all what you're used to. Why have you come to our death world, Ambassador Zeltor?" The alien's color darkened slightly. "Because we need Deathworlders now. We need humans." Inside a secure conference room at the Space Command base, the aliens explained their situation. The Araxian Collective was a peaceful alliance of 15 different species from what humans called the Andromeda Galaxy. For centuries, they had built a civilization based on knowledge, art, and peaceful exploration. Then came the Vorshans. "They are unlike any species we have encountered," Zeltor explained. Holographic images showed insect-like creatures with multiple limbs and armored exoskeletons. They operate as a hive mind. They don't communicate or negotiate, they simply consume. Consume what? General Miller asked. Everything. All biological matter on a planet. They strip worlds bare, then move on to the next target. Admiral Carter leaned forward. And they're attacking your worlds now? 3 of our colony planets have already fallen. Our homeworld will be next. Zelter's voice was steady, but his color had faded to a pale blue. We have superior technology, but we lack the physical resilience and the capacity for warfare that you humans have. Dr. Reyes exchanged glances with Carter. You've come here looking for soldiers? We've asked many advanced civilizations for help, said Meknar, speaking for the first time. All have refused. The Vorshans are too numerous, too relentless. But none of those species evolved on a death world, added Vusan. We believe humans possess unique abilities that could help us fight back. Admiral Carter sat back in his chair. This isn't a decision I can make alone. Our world leaders will need to discuss this. We understand, said Zeltor, but please, time is short. Over the next 3 days, Earth's leaders debated the alien request. Some argued that Earth should stay out of an interstellar conflict that wasn't their fight. Others saw an opportunity to gain advanced alien technology and forge important alliances. Admiral Carter made his position clear during an emergency session with the Joint Chiefs and the President in the White House Situation Room. The Araxians are offering us faster-than-light travel technology, advanced medical knowledge, and access to resources from 15 different solar systems, he said. More importantly, if the Vorchans destroy the Araxians, who's to say they won't find Earth next? President Lewis Clark ran a hand through his gray hair. And you believe their story? About these Vorshans? The Araxians have provided extensive evidence, Dr. Reyes cut in, and they've allowed us to verify their claims with our own equipment. They're telling the truth. General Miller, who had initially been skeptical, now nodded in agreement. If we help them now, we gain powerful allies and valuable experience. If we wait until the Vorchans reach our solar system, we fight alone. After hours of debate, the decision was made. Earth would send a specialized military task force, a single warship with elite troops and advanced weapons. It would serve as both a show of good faith and a test of human effectiveness against the alien threat. When Admiral Carter informed Zeltor of the decision, the alien's skin brightened to a vibrant teal. Thank you, the ambassador said. You give us hope where there was none. Carter's expression remained serious. Don't thank me yet, Ambassador. We're sending good people into danger for your cause. Let's make sure it's worth it. As the alien delegation returned to their ship to send word back to their homeworld, Dr. Reyes stood beside Carter, watching them go. Do you think we're making a mistake? She asked quietly. Carter turned to look at her. Maybe. But sometimes the right choice and the safe choice aren't the same thing. Across the world, military units received new orders. Scientists began studying Araxian technology, and in orbital shipyards, construction began on humanity's first faster-than-light warship. The Deathworlders were going to war. 6 months passed quickly. Earth's orbital shipyards worked day and night to complete the UES Valiant, humanity's first faster-than-light warship. The massive vessel hung in space above Earth, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. Captain Diane Winters stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back as she watched her crew prepare for departure. At 42, Winters had already earned a legendary reputation during the Mars insurrection, where she had saved thousands of lives through quick thinking and brave action. All systems are green, Captain, reported Commander Richard Ortiz, her executive officer. Ortiz was shorter than Winters but built like a boxer, with broad shoulders and steady hands. Weapon systems are at 100%. Engineering reports the Araxian drive technology is fully integrated. Winters nodded. And our guests? The Araxian liaison is in his quarters. He seems nervous. I would be too if I'd just handed advanced technology to a species I barely knew, Winters said with a small smile. Let's not give him more reasons to worry. Below decks, Colonel Frank Mitchell watched as his soldiers made final preparations. 300 of Earth's best fighters filled the ship's training hall, checking equipment and running drills. The cheer, low hum of conversation filled the air, punctuated by occasional laughter. "These Vorshans won't know what hit them," said Lieutenant Grace Howard as she approached. Howard was one of Mitchell's best officers, known for her ability to adapt to any combat situation. Her dark skin was marked with a thin scar that ran from her right ear to her chin, a souvenir from an old battle. "Don't get cocky," Mitchell warned. "We've never fought an alien species before. All our tactics might need to change once we make contact." "That's why they brought me, sir," Howard replied with confidence. "No one adapts faster." Across the room, Staff Sergeant Peter Daniels was showing younger soldiers how to adjust their new combat suits. Daniels had survived 3 missions that had killed everyone else on his team. His fellow soldiers called him Cockroach because nothing seemed able to kill him. "The suit adds 10 pounds to your weight," Daniels explained. "You'll need to change how you move, especially in low gravity." In the science lab, Dr. Kimberly Hayes and Dr. Marcus Webb worked with samples of Vorchan biology provided by the Araxians. Hayes, a specialist in diseases, peered into a microscope while Webb analyzed data on a large screen. "These microbes are unlike anything I've seen," Hayes said, "but they're not as tough as they look. Human immune systems should be able to handle them better than the Araxians can." Webb nodded. "Living on Earth has its advantages. Our bodies fight off thousands of different pathogens every day. These Vorchan bioweapons might be terrible for the Araxians, but for us, they're just another germ." The Araxian liaison officer, Trelzin, entered the lab just in time to hear this. His blue-green skin paled slightly. "You speak of deadly weapons so casually," he said. "These bioweapons have killed millions of my people." Hayes looked up. "I'm sorry, Trelzin. We don't mean to sound uncaring. We're just focusing on solutions rather than the problem." Trelzin moved further into the lab, his forearms held close to his body, and what the humans had learned was a sign of anxiety. "Yesterday, I watched your loading crews handling depleted uranium ammunition without special protection. On my world, even being near such materials would cause radiation sickness within hours." "Different biology," Webb explained. "Humans are more resistant to radiation than Araxians. Not immune, just more tolerant." "I wonder," Trelzin said quietly, "if we have made a terrible mistake. You Deathworlders are frightening." Hayes offered what she hoped was a reassuring smile. "We're on your side, Trelzin. That's what matters." The journey to Araxia Prime would take 3 weeks even with the advanced drive technology. Captain Winters used every minute of that time. The crew ran combat drills, studied Vorchan tactics from Araxian records, and prepared for every possible scenario. In the ship's main gym, Lieutenant Howard led a group of soldiers through hand-to-hand combat training. They had modified Earth fighting styles to account for the Vorchan's different body structure. "They have 6 limbs and armor plating," Howard reminded her team. "But their joints are exposed. Aim there." Sergeant Daniels spent his time in the weapon range, testing different ammunition types against samples of Vorchan armor. He discovered that hollow-point bullets, which expanded on impact, were particularly effective at breaking through the alien plating. Even the ship's cooks prepared for battle, learning to make field rations that would provide maximum energy in combat conditions. On the final day of their journey, Captain Winters called all senior officers to the bridge. The main screen showed their destination, Araxia Prime, a beautiful blue-green world with 3 small moons. "We'll arrive in 12 hours, Winters announced, "and we've just received an update from Araxian Defense Forces. It's not good news." "Commander." Ortiz tapped a control and the screen changed to show dozens of dark angular ships surrounding the planet. "The Vorchan fleet arrived 3 days ago," Ortiz explained. "They've established a blockade and have already landed forces on the surface." Colonel Mitchell studied the display. "How many ships?" 47, said Trelzin, who stood by the door. "Our planetary defenses have destroyed 3, but we cannot hold out much longer." Lieutenant Howard frowned. "Our mission was to support the Araxian military. not fight a war by ourselves. Shouldn't we call for reinforcements from Earth? Captain Winters shook her head. By the time help arrives, Araxia Prime could be lost. We need to act now. What's your plan, Captain? Mitchell asked. Winters moved to the tactical display. The Vorchans don't know about us yet. We'll use that surprise to our advantage. Trelzin. Which ship is the Vorchan command vessel? The Araxian pointed to a larger ship near the planet's north pole. This one. It coordinates all their forces. Then that's our target, Winters decided. We'll use our stealth systems to approach undetected. Colonel Mitchell, prepare a boarding party. We're going to capture that ship. The officers looked at each other. This was far more dangerous than their original mission, but no one objected. One more thing, Winters added. The Araxians asked for our help because we're different from any species the Vorchans have encountered. Use that to your advantage. Show them what Deathworlders can do. As the meeting ended, Dr. Hayes pulled Commander Ortiz aside. We've completed our analysis of the Vorchan biology samples. I think we've found something that could give us an edge. What is it? Hayes smiled. It turns out what's normal for humans is deadly for Vorchans. Our very presence might be our best weapon. 12 hours later, the UES Valiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Araxian system. Ahead lay the Vorchan blockade, and humanity's first interstellar battle. Stealth systems engaged, Commander Ortiz announced on the bridge of the UES Valiant. We're invisible to their sensors. Captain Winters nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Vorchan fleet surrounded Araxia Prime like hungry wolves, circling prey. Their ships were dark and angular, resembling giant insects. The largest vessel, the command ship, hung in orbit above the planet's north pole. Status of the Vorchan fleet? Winters asked. They don't see us, Ortiz confirmed. Their ships are focused on maintaining the blockade. Winters turned to Colonel Mitchell, who stood nearby in full combat armor. Your boarding team ready? Mitchell nodded. Ready and eager, Captain. Good. Winters faced forward again. Weapons officer, prepare a targeting solution for those 3 ships. She pointed to vessels positioned closest to their approach vector. We'll clear a path for our assault on the command ship. Lieutenant Howard checked her rifle one final time. She stood with 50 other soldiers in the Valiant's launch bay, preparing to board the Vorchan command ship. The air was thick with tension. Remember your training, Sergeant Daniels told the younger soldiers. The Vorchans rely on numbers and biological weapons. We have better tactics and stronger bodies. Howard smiled grimly. And they've never fought humans before. Let's show them why that was a mistake. The deck beneath them vibrated as the Valiant's engines powered up. Then came a series of thunderous booms as the ship's main guns fired. On the bridge, Captain Winters watched as 3 Vorchan ships erupted in flames. The surprise attack had caught them completely unprepared. Direct hits on all targets, Ortiz reported. Enemy fleet is responding, but they're confused. They don't know where the attack came from. Plot a course directly to the command ship, Winters ordered. Maximum speed. Colonel, get your team ready to launch. The Valiant shot forward, its Goidir stealth systems still active. By the time the Vorchans realized what was happening, the human ship was already alongside their command vessel. Magnetic grapples deployed, Ortiz said. We have hard contact with the Vorchan ship. Winters nodded to Colonel Mitchell. You have 30 minutes to capture their command center. After that, we'll have our hands full with the rest of their fleet. Mitchell saluted. We'll get it done. Howard felt the boarding tube connect with the Vorchan ship. A cutting laser sliced through the alien hull, creating an entrance. The moment the way was clear, she led her squad through. The inside of the EO Vorchan ship was hot and humid. Strange red lighting cast everything in an eerie glow. The walls seemed almost alive, pulsing with an organic quality. This isn't just a ship, Howard realized. It's partly biological. They encountered the first Vorchans almost immediately. The aliens were nightmare creatures, 6-limbed insectoids with armored exoskeletons and multiple eyes. They carried weapons that fired streams of acidic fluid. Take cover, Howard shouted as the Vorchans opened fire. The acid hit the wall behind them, melting metal instantly. The human soldiers returned fire. Their bullets, designed to expand on impact, found gaps in the Vorshan armor. 3 aliens fell in the first exchange. "Push forward," Howard ordered. Her team advanced, using tactics no Vorshan had ever faced. They moved in pairs, covering each other, always keeping up a steady rate of fire. More Vorshans arrived, their chittering communications echoing through the corridors. But the humans had another advantage. Earth's gravity was 1.5 times stronger than what the Vorchans were used to. The human soldiers moved faster, jumped higher, and hit harder than their alien opponents expected. Meanwhile, Captain Winters was fighting her own battle. The Vorshan fleet had recovered from the initial surprise, and now converged on the Valiant. "Evasive maneuvers," Winters ordered. "Target their weapon systems and engines." The Valiant twisted and turned with surprising agility for its size. Ortiz directed their counterattack, using Earth combat maneuvers that confused the Vorshan pilots. "They're fighting as individuals," Ortiz noticed. "Each ship for itself. No coordination." Winters smiled. "Without their command ship running the show, they're disorganized. Keep pressing the advantage." On the surface of Araxia Prime, the situation was dire. Vorshan ground forces pushed toward the capital city, overwhelming Araxian defenses. But a small team of humans had landed to help. Engineer Nancy Kelly led a group of 10 Earth soldiers who worked with Araxian defenders. Kelly had brought something the Araxians had never used: simple ballistic weapons. Most galactic species consider these primitive, Kelly explained to an Araxian commander as she demonstrated a rifle. But they're effective and don't rely on complex technology that can be disrupted. The Araxian looked doubtful. "Our energy weapons are far more advanced." "Maybe," Kelly agreed. "But the Vorchans have adapted to energy weapons. They haven't adapted to good old-fashioned bullets." When the next wave of Vorchans attacked, the Araxians were ready with their new weapons. The simple rifles tore through the alien ranks, stopping their advance for the first time in days. Back on the Vorchan command ship, Lieutenant Howard's team fought their way toward the central control room. The Vorchans grew more desperate with each passing minute, releasing clouds of toxic spores into the air. "Masks on," Howard ordered. The human soldiers quickly covered their faces with protective gear. Sergeant Daniels, however, was separated from his mask when a section of ceiling collapsed. He inhaled the spores directly. The other soldiers looked at him with horror, expecting him to collapse. Instead, Daniels sneezed. "Nasty stuff," he said, wiping his nose. "But I've had worse colds." Dr. Hayes, monitoring the boarding team's vital signs from the Valiant, was amazed. "His immune system is fighting off the toxins," she told Dr. Webb. "The Earth's microbial environment has given humans incredible resistance." Howard and her team finally reached the command center. The room was filled with Vorchan officers, including one larger specimen that appeared to be the leader. "Take them down," Howard ordered. Her soldiers moved with practiced precision, overwhelming the aliens before they could organize a defense. The Vorchan leader chittered something in its own language. Trelzin, who had insisted on joining the boarding party, translated, "It's asking how this is possible," the Araxian said. "Its species has conquered 17 worlds without defeat." Howard stepped forward, facing the alien leader. "Those worlds weren't Earth. You've never faced Deathworlders before." On the bridge of the Valiant, Commander Ortiz received a message from Colonel Mitchell. "Command center secured," Mitchell reported. "Lieutenant Howard's team captured their leader." Captain Winters allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent. Have your tech specialists take control of their systems. Use their own weapons against the rest of the fleet." The tide of battle shifted quickly after that. The captured command ship turned its guns on other Vorshan vessels. Without central coordination, the alien fleet fell into chaos. Ships fired on each other, fled in different directions, or simply shut down. On the planet's surface, the Vorshan ground forces suddenly lost contact with their leaders. Their attack faltered, then collapsed entirely as Araxian defenders, using human weapons and tactics, pushed them back. 3 hours after the surprise attack began, the battle was over. More than half the Vorchan fleet lay in ruins. The rest had fled into deep space. In the Araxian capital, cheering crowds filled the streets. Their world, which had seemed doomed only hours before, was saved by the strange creatures from a death world called Earth. 3 months after the Battle of Araxia, representatives from 27 galactic civilizations gathered in the Grand Hall of Unity on Araxia Prime. The vast chamber glittered with light from 1,000 floating crystals. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors filled the room, their voices creating a strange melody of different languages. At the center of it all stood Admiral Alan Carter, now serving as Earth's ambassador. Beside him, Dr. Olivia Reyes watched the proceedings with wide eyes. Neither had imagined that their first meeting with Xeltor would lead to this moment. "The galaxy has changed," Xeltor announced from the speaking platform. His skin shimmered a bright teal color that the humans had learned meant pride and happiness. "For too long we believed that advanced technology and peaceful cooperation were the only paths to survival. The Vorchan threat proved us wrong." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Many of the gathered species had refused to help the Araxians in their time of need. Now they watched with a mixture of shame and fear as humans, newcomers from a backwater, solar system, took center stage in galactic affairs. "Humans call their homeworld Earth," Xeltor continued. "We call it a death world. Its gravity crushes, its atmosphere burns, its life forms compete in endless battle for survival. And yet, from this crucible emerged a species with qualities the galaxy desperately needed." Admiral Carter shifted uncomfortably. He disliked being the center of attention. Dr. Reyes gave him a reassuring smile. "Just smile and wave," she whispered. "They're still trying to understand us." After the formal speeches, the real work began. The newly formed Galactic Defense Coalition officially welcomed Earth as a member. Dr. Reyes was appointed to head a scientific exchange program, helping other species understand Earth's unique evolutionary history. "Your immune systems are remarkable," a jellyfish-like scientist from the Medusa cluster told Reyes during one meeting. "A single human body fights off more pathogens in a day than most of our species encounter in a lifetime." Reyes nodded. "Earth is teeming with microscopic life. Our bodies had to evolve strong defenses just to survive." "And your physical resilience," added a reptilian diplomat. "Your people can break bones and heal completely. You can lose entire limbs and survive with artificial replacements. It's unsettling." "Just different," Reyes corrected gently. "Every species adapts to its environment. Ours happen to be particularly challenging." In another part of the Araxian capital, Captain Diane Winters and her crew attended a grand ceremony. The Valiant had become famous throughout the galaxy for its victory over the Vorchan fleet. Now its crew received the highest honors the Araxian collective could bestow. Trelzin, no longer a liaison officer but now the Prime Minister of Araxia, placed a shimmering medal around Captain Winters' neck. "When we first met, I feared you," he admitted openly. "Your casual relationship with danger, your comfort with weapons, your physical strength, all of it terrified me. I thought perhaps we had made a mistake in seeking your help." Winters smiled. "And now? Now I understand that the very qualities that frightened us were the ones that saved us." Trelzin's skin rippled with emotion. "On behalf of all Araxians, I thank you and your crew." After the ceremony, Prime Minister Trelzin presented Earth with a gift, advanced faster-than-light technology far beyond what they had initially shared. The plans were transmitted directly to Earth's scientific teams, who began work immediately on a new generation of warships. Not everyone welcomed humanity's sudden prominence in galactic affairs. In shadowy corners of the diplomatic quarter, representatives from several ancient species formed a cautious alliance. "These humans are unpredictable," warned a tall, slender being with glowing eyes. "They react with violence as a first response, not a last resort." "They survived the Vorchans when no one else could," countered another alien. "And what happens when they decide we are a threat?" asked the first. "We should monitor them closely. In solving one problem, we may have created another. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. Recruitment centers for the newly formed Space Forces overflowed with volunteers. Young men and women lined up for blocks, eager to join the ranks of those who had fought at Araxia. In orbital shipyards, the first fleet of Earth warships began construction. Engineers combined human ingenuity with alien technology, creating vessels unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Lieutenant Grace Howard, promoted to captain for her actions on the Vorshan command ship, stood in a briefing room, reviewing plans for her new command. The UES Defiance would be larger than the Valiant, with improved weapons and defensive systems. "Congratulations on your promotion," said a familiar voice. Howard turned to see Sergeant Peter Daniels, now Lieutenant Daniels, entering the room. He still moved with the same confident stride, but now wore the insignia of an officer. "You too," Howard replied with a smile. "I requested you for my crew, you know. After what we went through together, I want people I can trust." Daniels nodded. "The Vorshans are regrouping. Intelligence reports say they're gathering in the Canis sector." Howard's expression darkened. "How many ships?" "Hundreds, maybe more. They're preparing for a counterattack." Howard studied the star charts displayed on the wall screen. "Then, we'll be ready. This time, we won't wait for them to come to us." 3 days later, Admiral Carter received disturbing news from Araxian intelligence services. He immediately called an emergency meeting with Earth's military leadership. "The Vorshans are building a new type of biological weapon," Carter explained. "Something specifically designed to target humans." General Susan Miller, who had initially opposed sending the Valiant, leaned forward. "They're adapting to us." "Yes," Carter said, "but that's not surprising. We're adapting too. Dr. Reyes and her team are already working on countermeasures." "How much time do we have?" asked the Secretary of Defense. 6 months, maybe less. The Araxians believe the Vorshans will launch a major offensive against both Earth and Araxia Prime once their new weapons are ready. Instead of fear, the news was met with determined preparation. Manufacturing facilities across Earth shifted to military production. Scientists worked around the clock on new defensive technologies. Training programs for space combat expanded tenfold. 1 month later, Captain Howard stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance as it prepared for its maiden voyage. Behind her ship, 20 other vessels formed Earth's first official space fleet. Alongside them flew 10 Araxian warships, their crews eager to fight alongside their human allies. "All ships report ready, Captain," announced her first officer. Howard nodded. "Transmit our course to all vessels. We launch in 5 minutes." On a view screen, Admiral Carter's face appeared. "Captain Howard, you understand your mission?" "Yes, sir. We locate the Vorshan fleet, assess their capabilities, and return with intel for the main force." Carter nodded. "This isn't about revenge. It's about securing our future in this galaxy." "Understood, sir." As the communication ended, Howard looked around at her crew. Humans working alongside Araxians and even a few representatives from other species who had volunteered to join Earth's forces. It was a sight no one could have imagined a year ago. "Prepare for faster-than-light travel," Howard ordered. The engines hummed with power as the fleet prepared to depart. Earth's first interstellar fleet was heading to Vorshan space. This time, they weren't responding to a plea for help. They were taking the initiative, bringing the fight to the enemy's doorstep. The species once feared for evolving on a death world had become the galaxy's greatest hope for survival. And if the Vorshans thought the Battle of Araxia had shown the full extent of humanity's capabilities, they were about to learn just how wrong they were.